going on, guys? Welcome back to another Mortal Kombat video. So before we get too far into the video, I just kind of want to get the YouTube stuff out of the way. So if you guys can, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. But anyways, for those of you who have been here before, I know I haven't really been uploading a whole lot of Mortal Kombat videos recently, but I'm going to try and change that going forward. So with this video in particular, I kind of wanted to touch on something that I mentioned in kind of passing in a few videos, and that is was resetting the timeline with Liu Kang as the main focus. Was that really the right move? And in order to talk about this and just figure out if that was the right move or not, I kind of want to talk about the past 3 games and just kind of figure out why Mortal Kombat arrived at resetting the timeline rather than continuing it on from MK11. But anyways, so honestly, it just kind of seems like Mortal Kombat has struggled with finding out where they wanted the story to go after MK9. I won't say that completely, because I feel like MKS had MKS wasn't a bad story in my opinion, but I know a lot of people kind of dunk on the Combat Kids, and I think that's kind of the whole reason why MK11 went back to the original characters, because they didn't, the story wasn't good enough, I guess. I don't know, I won't say it wasn't good enough, but I feel like there was a lot more negativity surrounding the MKX story, specifically for the Combat Kids, because people want to see their favorite characters come. They just want to play their favorite characters in Mortal Kombat, and with so many characters dead, it was so hard. It's hard to do that without this kind of resetting what happened from the events of MK9. But anyways, let's just get into the whole MK9 part. So honestly, I think MK9 was I actually really liked MK9. Obviously, you guys know I've said it a few times in past videos that MK9 is probably my favorite modern Mortal Kombat, and honestly, the retelling of the first 3 games I felt like it was definitely the right approach for MK9. However, the way they kind of ended the story left a lot of the core characters dead on both sides, on Earthrealm and Outworld. They were pretty much completely decimated during the whole Shao Kahn invasion of Earthrealm. Obviously, you guys seen it. Sindel just kind of murked everybody. But anyway, so in order to kind of go forward to the next game, new characters and new alliances were needed to be made. Now, I think MKX did a great job of creating something that felt like we were moving past the traditional story of Mortal Kombat. MKX added a lot of cool new characters, such as the symbiotic relationship between Ferritor, the cowboy Aaron Black, as well as the addition of the Combat Kids, and also we got a lot of cool things that happened in the story. We got to see Scorpion and Sub-Zero finally buried the hatchet for the 2 clans. Hanzo finally gets his revenge for the massacre of the Shiryu, and while a lot of people weren't huge fans of the Combat Kids, I felt like Takeda honestly was the exception, at least for me. He was a really dope, fleshed out character if you read the comics, and if you haven't, I literally have a whole video on him in particular, because after we got the notification of Takeda being a part of the game, I kind of went back and just dug into his past in the comics. So if you guys want to check that out, just gotta look up the I think it was Beyond the Hourglass Chapter 1, Takeda Takahashi. But anyways, I felt like they were kind of going in the right direction at that time. Now that is until we got Mortal Kombat 11. So now this is where I think NetherRealm kind of messed up. They kind of pigeonholed themselves into this, because okay, so they killed so many characters in MK9, and because they wanted to go back and try and fix with the deaths of all the characters and bring a lot of the characters back into the modern kind of area, I felt like they kind of pigeonholed them to a point where obviously they needed to figure out a way to bring these characters back that kind of made sense. And I felt like the only way they couldn't go back with the whole send the memories back, because they already did the whole Days of Future Passing with the MK9 story, so they couldn't do that again, obviously. And at that time, I think that was when Endgame and Infinity War and all that that time travel stuff was kind of really everyone was really behind it. So I kind of felt like the MK11 story was because of that, and MK just kind of adapted it and just changed it to fit their game. Now, if you know anything about MK, you know they're not against switching up and taking something and to fit into their game, which, you know, you should always take inspiration and just like kind of like make it your own, which I'm not against them doing. Thus they introduce Kronika, the Keeper of Time, a being who stood beyond even the other gods themselves. She was a titan who controlled the flow of time, and whenever time veered too far to one side, she would reset it. You guys know, the backstory. But anyway, so this character allowed them to bring back beloved characters in a way that, you know, it made sense for what the story was trying to tell. And at the time, it was actually cool when I first was experiencing it. Like, I think I was more of a fan of it than a lot of people were, because I know Chewing Dog Gaming kind of saw a lot of plot holes in MK11, and there definitely were. But like, I enjoyed a good portion of the story, because I felt like it tied a lot of loose ends, and like it was like kind of like the completionist of that kind of era with the timeline. Like I said, there was a lot of cool moments. The way old Johnny Cage, the old Johnny just interacted with Sonya, it was actually super dope. You know, especially like, you know, actually seeing the budding of their relationship after Cassie rescues them from the nightclub or the fight club.
I'm totally stealing that one for Timequake. How about dinner sometime? You know, thank you for saving my life. And apologize for being, well, me. No pressure. No romance.
Patience is a virtue, Cage.
So, and then there was also some really, really emotional moments, especially for me. Like, I'm a huge fan of Scorpion and Sonya, so, you know, seeing them die on screen was like, oh, it was gut-wrenching, bro. Especially the Scorpion one. The Scorpion one, bro, oh my god, dude. I remember when I first saw that scene, I was so sad, bro.
Raiden is at the Fire Gardens. Enlist Karan's aid. Bring Raiden's army to the keep. You must. You have my word. The new Shiraiyu are worthy. It's heart, not blood, that makes them warriors.
I was so sad, and like I know like the younger version just kind of stepped up, but like, you know, seeing the older Hanzo just kind of like, you know, get the revenge that he did for his clan. He restarted the Shiraiyu, and like he finally started getting everything he wanted, and then like he ends up dying by Devora. And like, it's funny because Scorpion got stabbed by Devora in MKX and nothing happened to him then, but it's also even more funny when you realize he's a Hellspawn, so he should still come back regardless. But you know, the story just kind of went that route. Like I don't know how long it takes for Scorpion to kind of to come back as from hell, but you know, I don't know, they didn't really explain it, so I guess maybe they just kind of like, maybe it was a time constraint thing and they just, you know, let's just go ahead with the young Scorpion. But anyways, you know, we know firsthand that, you know, Mortal Kombat, it can be told past the original trilogy. We've seen it with MK Deadly Alliance and MK Deception. These games are among some of the most well-received games in Mortal Kombat, and honestly, I always loved that they broke free of the original story and just created an intriguing and kind of like engaging story, especially Mortal Kombat Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception's Conquest mode alone, like it really introduced us to a different side of Mortal Kombat than we had gotten from previous games, because like you got to explore as Shujinko, and we got to go to different realms, and like we've seen Shujinko grow as a kid all the way up. We got introduced to Chaos Realm, to Order Realm. There were hints of Eternus and Deadly Alliance. Like, you know, there was my point is that like these games just touched on like the bare minimal of these realms, and like we never really delved into them. Like I kind of felt like we could have had that, and like that's why I was never a really huge proponent of, you know, resetting the timeline. You know, it's like I felt like there were stories there that could have been told, but I don't know if like people, I don't know if they forgot that they did this, or like maybe I don't know what's going. I don't know what was going on with the pitch of like what the future for Mortal Kombat held. But anyways, let's keep going. Right? It's like, I'm gonna be honest, it's almost like the devs aren't in touch with the fans of Mortal Kombat and like just kind of like understanding what they want. And like I hate saying that because I love Mortal Kombat. I love Ed Boon. I highly respect the NRS team. But like I have to wonder what is stopping them from going and creating these new stories. Like are they afraid to take on the challenge of going through with tackling these realms, or is it something else? Or is it just easier to just start over with the same kind of story and just like adjust the story to like fit some kind of new need? I don't know what it is. And like I said, I don't want to dunk on the NRS too much. That's not what the point of this video. I'm just kind of like I'm trying to understand where the approach came to creating the resetting of the timeline rather than just fixing it. And that's why I kind of like wanted to use the past 3 games to kind of like talk about like why I think they came to this approach. But honestly, like for the past 3 games, we've kind of been begging for Return to Conquest. Instead of Conquest, we got Invasions. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, like I feel like Conquest is such a dope mode, and especially when you go back and you look at how it first started with Deadly Alliance, where it's just like completing missions, and then it evolved into actually story mode, and then like it kept going forward, especially with Armageddon with Taven and Dagon. Like bro, they were, I felt like back in the day Mortal Kombat was so innovative with the moves that they were doing, and I feel like lately it feels like Mortal Kombat has been playing things safe. Like they haven't really had any really cool game moves that like stick out, like like Mortal Kombat or chess combat, or all the different like a little wacky and kind of fun stuff they had back in the day. And I don't know why, like they're just taking a lot more safer approaches to these types of games. And even like I don't know, bro, because like it feels like it's safe, but at the same time they do some weird stuff. Like they change the combat system every game. Like I don't understand why they do that. Personally, I feel like it really detracts from what I feel like they can achieve, because like I feel like once they start focusing directly on one thing and have one kind of fighting system, and I feel like it's gonna make the whole developing these games so much easier, bro, because you're not focused on trying to create a new fighting system every game. And like, you gotta think about it. If you really think about it, like how long does each of these new fighting mechanics that they add to these games take to make? And I feel like it takes away from other things that could be being done. Like honestly, I think there's nothing wrong with Mortal Kombat 1's combat system as itself, outside of the cameos. Just take away the cameos. Like the way the combat was, the air combat was awesome. Like I'm perfectly fine with the way the combat is in Mortal Kombat 1 if they want to keep that going forward and having air combos and bring back the neutral balances. Like I miss those like mechanics like from MKX and MK9. Like it would be cool to see that make a comeback in the next game. Like I don't think the combat system needs to change that much in the next game. I just think that I feel if they stick with what they have, I feel like they have a good like kind of building blocks for the future game. I just hope that like they don't try and create a whole nother combat system like they did with the last couple games, because MK9 was probably my favorite one. It's like the most basic Mortal Kombat. It's just like combos. There's no fancy variations. There's no cameos. It's just straight combat. It's what I like. And it was tagged. It was like they had a bunch of like fun modes. Like I just don't understand like why MK wants to constantly change. I guess I don't know. That's just kind of like how I feel about it. So, but like I said, I don't really know much about how NRS functions. So it's hard for me to really grasp how the story has just kind of fallen off a cliff. And I say that like in terms of like Mortal Kombat 1, I'm not the hugest fan of the story, because I feel like I don't know, dude. It was going, and this is the thing, I like the story, but at the same time I don't, because like I liked where the story was going before the introduction of Titan Shang Tsung. Like once that they introduced Titan Shang Tsung, I felt like everything just kind of fell off a cliff. And I've talked about it in the past, but like when they didn't need Titan Shang Tsung because we already had the evil sorcerer with Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. We had General Shao, and then you had Rico supporting it. You already had all the bad guys in place. You had the good guys in place. There's no real need to introduce Titan Shang Tsung this early into the game, which is what I kind of like. I really had a big problem with, because I felt like it kind of ruined your own story when you did that and you made the game about time stuff. Like, we just got out of Mortal Kombat 11 and they're still with the time stuff. Like, the time stuff is boring, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm tired of the timeline stuff, and I said it in multiple videos if you guys have been around for a while, that I feel like the time stuff takes away from creative writing, and it's lazy writing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like with the timeline stuff, you're just changing little things about characters rather than just like actually creating an engaging story. And like, that's why I have such a big issue with like the whole Titan Shang Tsung coming into the game, because I feel like it kind of just ruined all the story building they were doing. Because I felt like once he got introduced, like Raiden and Kung Lao and all the evil characters and even the good characters, they kind of like fell to the wayside, because then it became the story of Titan Liu Kang versus Titan Shang Tsung. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of just like felt like it just stopped all of what they were building and just kind of like took a big dump right on it. If that makes sense to you guys. That's just kind of how I felt about the story once the Titan, like, you could have honestly made it a DLC like with the Titan Shang Tsung, and then you would have had your two story DLCs and you would have been good. But like this, I don't know, bro. Like, it really disappointed me when I saw it, and like I said, I think it's more of a lack of just great story minds involved with the story building. It's kind of the cause, and that's not. And I don't know, bro. Like, and I don't even want to say that because I'm not trying to take a dump on anybody, but at the same time, the story, it just felt kind of rushed, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like kind of rushed, like they didn't know how to take the story past it, or maybe there was time constraints that made them have to force the story to just adapt that way, because maybe they didn't want to make the Shang Tsung story into like a separate DLC. I don't know, I'm not in the building, so I can't really say, you know, if that's true or not. But I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I just wanted a better story. That's all I'm trying to say, I guess. Like, I don't know, and this is the thing too, because I don't know how much sway Warner Brothers has, or how much creative control they have. It's impossible to say whose fault it really is. All I know is that I'm not happy with the way that MK1 kind of came out towards the end of the story, because like I said, I really liked the progression they were going. Like, there were changes to the story with the original game, but like there's a lot of like little changes that, you know, was actually pretty cool until they got to that point where they just introduced them. But anyway, so let's get back on track. So MK11, I actually really love the fact that Liu Kang became the focus of Mortal Kombat again. Like, it is as it should be. Like, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of the video, right? So I have two main issues with Mortal Kombat 11, and this is all related to Aftermath. So most like I said, most of the things are related to Aftermath. One, Liu Kang not only had the ability to send travelers back in time, but could also travel back or ahead, as we saw at the end of Aftermath. He defeated Shang Tsung and erased him from all timelines, which honestly should have stopped him, regardless if he had a separate end, if he had an ending. If he took him out of all the timelines, it shouldn't matter whose decision it was.
Make no mistake, Shang Tsung. You have chosen this fate. No more timelines will be twisted by your evil.
But you know, this is more. Let's say that's why I said timeline stuff. It kind of gets really gunky, because like, you know, you have these multiple decisions and somehow they survive, yada yada yada. And I don't know, bro. Like, I kind of felt like they should have just kept it like that, and, you know, had the new Shang Tsung take the place of the old Shang Tsung. Because like, if you're gonna erase it from all the timelines and then he's suddenly back in the next game, it's kind of like, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? So my biggest issue is like, why didn't Liu Kang go back in time and save the current timeline before Kronika messed with everything? and then he could have just relinquished his godhood back to Raiden and let Raiden become Keeper of Time, or you could have kept it. You could kept for yourself and just kept that timeline going and proceeding as it already was. It didn't. It doesn't really. I guess it doesn't really matter which one. Like honestly, I would prefer like Liu Kang becoming back to the champion of Earthrealm rather than him being the god. But that's more of a me thing. I like Liu Kang's story, and like I guess him becoming a god is like the next step in his story, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what they're gonna do with it, right? The second thing is the teasing of the Great Kung Lao at the end of Aftermath, and not involving him in Mortal Kombat 1. This was such a wasted opportunity. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded even if it wasn't like a regular fighting game. They could have made it a Shaolin Monk style game, or heck, even the Great Kung Lao could have been a Mythologies 2 with Lao as the focus. Like I would not have been mad about that. Have him go through his training with Liu Kang, like, and have him go to the tournament and live out his life. Like I would not have been mad if that was the case. Like I don't get why they rushed back into the modern era. Like it can't be for the lack of being able to create new characters, because they had success with Aurora, Kotal, Aaron Black, Floyd, Takeda, and even Cassie. There was a lot of Cassie fans. Like these were all solid characters, and honestly I think this is more of Warner Brothers like getting directly involved and kind of going against what they want to do, because maybe I feel like, you know, the Great Kung Lao is such a, people have been wanting that story for a while, and you didn't even have to put the whole game. You could put like a chapter where it's the Great Kung Lao, and then you skip ahead. But we got nothing. It just directly skipped to the modern era with Kung Lao and Raiden. Now, you know, and this is the thing too, is like it would have had enough characters that were the same, right? So you got Kitana, Mileena, Sindel, Liu Kang, the Great Kung Lao, Jared, Li Mei. These are characters will all be alive around that point, because Li Mei is about the same age as Sindel in this version of Mortal Kombat. Obviously they're friends, so I assume that, you know, they're closer in age than like a lot of other things. Because like, and also Li Mei trained Kitana and Mileena, and they're both 10,000 years old. So if you just kind of like, Li Mei is as old as Sindel is, or like maybe a little bit younger. But like these are all like, you would have a good amount of characters that you would recognize, right? And you know, I think this would have been enough. You could have had enough to get people interested in seeing like the key moments in Mortal Kombat and this new era just unfolding, right? So in this new time, it would have been cool to see the creation of Lin Kuei, the first Cryomancer to migrate from Outworld, the creation of the Mortal Kombat tournament with Jared and Liu Kang. Like that would have been so cool to see, bro. But you know, it is what it is. Like I don't know, like I hope one day they'll go and they'll tackle the whole the Great Kung Lao era. I don't know if they ever will, but it would be cool to see, bro. Now Liu Kang's new era kind of fell back into the same traps as the previous timeline suffered. So even though Liu Kang tried his best to kind of like stop certain characters from achieving their dark destiny, it didn't matter, because Khan still becomes the conqueror. Shang and Quan still become evil sorcerers. Sindel and Jared still die. The Shiryu and Lin Kuei still become enemies. The Cyber Initiative is back on track. Obviously it was hinted at the end of Chaos Reigns. Bihan still becomes new Saibot. Like, and let's not forget, like that's just count all the stuff to say the same. I'm not even talking about how they nerfed characters in this game, right? Like how they nerfed Kitana to a general. Like Kitana was the princess of Outworld, and she was one of the strongest characters in Mortal Kombat. And in this game, she just didn't feel like a factor at all. Like her importance to the story just didn't really make a whole lot of sense, because like it was weird seeing Kitana in the game but not have a bigger role than she did, you know what I mean, if that makes sense. And like there's some moments in Mortal Kombat that I didn't really understand. Like why was Kung Lao and Raiden training not with the Shaolin? Like why were they in a village farming instead of being born and raised up through the Shaolin? Like I never really understood that kind of approach. Like I don't really understand why their training was hidden, and then they still ended up joining the Shaolin anyway. So wouldn't it have been a good point to just bring them from jump? Because maybe they would have been further along and they would have been stronger warriors if they had trained with actual Shaolin from the jump. And I technically Li Mei was I don't know. She was Lin Kuei. She was Lin Kuei, and she also trained Shaolin. So, I mean, I guess she's a really good instructor. But like, you know, I don't know. It was just a weird kind of thing that they did with their backgrounds. I'm not necessarily sure if I really loved it, but it is what it is. And then like the Tara and Havik in this game like are more like jobbers, I guess I would say, because like, I mean, I guess Havik had the Chaos Reigns, but it was a different Havik from the Havik we have. But like, you know, the Havik we have is not Havik. He's Darius. Oh no, not Darius. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Dairu. He's Dairu. And the Havik we see in the actual Chaos Reigns is the actual Havik. If that, because like I don't know what like some of the decisions making on this game is just, it's very hard to like get behind, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because you got characters like Nitara who was absolutely butchered. Like they made this character in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance such a dope neutral character that cared about her race, and like she wasn't above using people, but then she would also give people what they want as well. I don't know, bro. Like I don't know what was this decision making for this game. Like, and they butchered her character. She's just a jobber in this game, and like I honestly, behind Scorpion, I think she's like the second most disappointing character in this game for me. Like, and like the whole Scorpion being replaced by Sub-Zero and like Hanzo not being even a factor in this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't know. It's just weird, bro. It's so weird. It's so weird that Sub-Zero is Scorpion and that he runs the Shirai Ryu, and you got like Sub-Zero, who's Noob Saibot now, who is running the Lin Kuei instead of the Brotherhood of Shadow. There's so many weird choices that this game it's very odd, like I would say. And I don't know, man. Like I don't even want to go into the Chaos Reigns story, because I felt like I've talked about this in the past before, because like there's so many just what the hell moments with Chaos Reigns, and like, you know, I think people were ready for dunking on it. Like, although there are parts of the story that I actually really liked, I think, you know, it could have been a lot better than what we got. Look, the point of all this is, I think it's just for me to say that it was the wrong decision. Right now, where Mortal Kombat stands as of today, it was the wrong decision to do that, because there was more stories to tell from the original timeline. Like, the original timeline didn't even, and like I'm not saying the original timeline, because this is like a variation of the original timeline with the MK11 game, because Onaga didn't even get an appearance in the modern Mortal Kombat games. So they could have gone with him as the next big bad and kept it going with Tevay Turnus, have a vampire lord as the bad guy. Like that would have been cool to see. Like I would love to see another vampire be injected into Mortal Kombat. We could even have him based off of Dracula or something like that. That would have been cool to see. And like I said, this is like as of today. Like they could always drop another Mortal Kombat game and it just be a banger. But after like the last two games, I felt like maybe the devs need a break. You know, maybe they do need to take some time away from Mortal Kombat, make Injustice, and kind of just like figure out where they're gonna go with Mortal Kombat. I feel like maybe, and I would hate to say Mortal Kombat fatigue, because like I know there are some creators that say that. I don't think there's such thing as a fatigue, because when you look at other games like Street Fighter and Tekken, they don't have the same problems that we have. But like I said, I think they might just need to do some soul searching and just like really just figure out where they want to take the story. Like maybe even ask the fans like what they thought of the story and just like what they would have liked to see, and just like get some ideas and feedback from the fan base. Because like I don't know, like, and this is, I'm just talking about the story, and I'm probably a very niche part of the community, because I actually really enjoy the story, and I know most Mortal Kombat players probably just care about the gameplay, which, you know, that's cool too. I love the gameplay as well, but like the story for me, I've always really loved the story. The story's been like one of the most fascinating stories like of all for me. Like Mortal Kombat's always been my favorite story. It's always been one of my favorite stories. Like, you know, Liu Kang training, becoming, you know, the chosen one, ending up, and then him and his relationship with Katana, and then his best friend Kung Lao. Like, I've always just loved the story of Mortal Kombat. But for me, it's tough to just look at this story now and just be like, what happened to the story? Like, honestly, I think them working on Injustice might just give the creators a chance to, giving the creators a chance to work on something else might help them create a better Mortal Kombat game. But like I said, but then again, you just look at Street Fighter and Tekken, it's just like they don't have the same issues that we have. So is it just a lack of or just like overworking on Mortal Kombat, or is it just like the wrong people in the wrong role? Like I don't know how to say it, man. Like I don't know, man. I just don't like the state of Mortal Kombat. Like I don't like the state of the story where it's going. I really want to veer away from the time stories in the future games, because I feel like it's a crutch. It's something that people use to kind of just like, you know, this like, okay, we can make a quick story, people will buy it, yeah. There's no creativeness, there's no like, you know, anything from left field. And that's how I felt about MK1 story. There was nothing that surprised me. Like it was a cool story, but it's just kind of like, you know, you just retelling. It's a retelling of the original story again for like what, the third time. Like I'm kind of past that. I want to continue on with the story and just like go past where we have been. And I just feel like I feel like Mortal Kombat can get past that. We've seen it. It was in Deception and Armageddon. We've seen these stories go beyond the original story. So I don't know. Maybe they just need to work on another game first to kind of just like figure out what they want to do with Mortal Kombat going forward. And I'm not against it, bro. Honestly, like if that's the route it takes for them to create a good fighting game, then I'm all for it. But until that happens, and until they can figure out like what's the best approach for them going forward, I think we're just gonna have to hope that, you know, they just learn from their experience with a new Injustice game. Maybe the Injustice game is what they need to kind of like just refresh their minds and just like, you know, I think they just need some time away from Mortal Kombat, because like you gotta think about it, they've been making Mortal Kombat games like non-stop since like what 2019 Mortal Kombat 11 came out, and then 2023 Mortal Kombat 1 came out. So you have what, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Like, you know, they're working on the games for like 6 Mortal Kombat stuff for like what, six years? Am I tripping? I'll say 5, because this year they didn't really create anything for Mortal Kombat 1. So we'll say 5 years. They've been constantly dropping Mortal Kombat related stuff, and like maybe they're just running out of ideas, and maybe like some time off from the game could be what they need. That's kind of like my 2 cents on the whole resetting of the timeline versus continuing on. Personally, I would have rather them continue on, but like I get that they want to just continue what they want to continue. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Would you have been okay with them continuing on the story? Maybe have Liu Kang and Kitana hook up and finally he become the king of Outworld, and you know, maybe someone else take over the mantle of champion? Or do you prefer the reset of the story? I think the resetting of the story, it could have been good, but they made too many mistakes. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it took a long time for me making another Mortal Kombat video, but like I said, going forward, we're gonna start creating some more videos, and we're gonna keep going. Like I'm sorry, I kind of like was being a little, I kind of was just ranting a bit. But anyways, guys, I'm out of here. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace.